Welcome to Let's Talk Nation with Rod Love and the General sitting across the table from me, the Greg Jackson. How you doing, Greg?
Y'all should have heard Brother Love in here trying to get his little saying on just a few moments ago.
Hey, man. hey,
hitting the high notes and everything.
But you know what, Greg? I was inspired, man, because doing the NFL Hall of Fame induction.
I saw part of that, yeah.
Hey, Charles Woodson.
Okay.
Hey, man, he got up there and he went up with his mom to uncover what do you call it, Greg? The bust?
Yeah.
And the first words he said out of his mouth was, he sung that song, "Oh Mama," how he loved his mama. And Greg, it was humbling. Yeah. This is a cat, man, that went through college, Greg, 18 years in the NFL. And man, first class guy.
Nah, absolutely.
And Greg, and I got to say, this guy went through and acknowledged those folk from high school on through Michigan State, on through the NFL. Mm-hmm. And he talked and he said this, man. He said, football is what he did.
Right.
He said, but each of you are who made me who I am today.
All right. Right.
He told his boys, he said, I only ask one thing of you as you grow up to be men.
And what was that?
He said, love your mama like I love mine. So, Greg, man, I tell you, just to watch the class act of this guy giving his NFL induction speech, man, that was very, very humbling, man. But Greg, what we got on the radar, man?
Listen, what we got on the radar is right now you're tuned in to two of the most influential voices on Monday Night Radio, Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo. If you want to up your IQ by 10 to 15 points, all you got to do is point yourself to that radio dial, get on the phone, call your friends, hit that share button on Facebook, because we are the dynamic duo, two of the most dynamic voices in Central Florida on Monday Night Radio, Brother Love and Greg Jackson.
Great. Tomorrow in Orange County, kids are going to be back in school.
You know, we were just talking about this before we went on the air. And this is one of those times where it makes me want to say, may you live in interesting times.
Chinese, what is it? Chinese, is that Chinese?
That's a Chinese curse.
Curse, okay.
And a lot of folks think that when you tell someone, may you live in interesting times, that's a kind of a blessing or something like that. But may you live in interesting times, as the Chinese curse goes, means may you live in times of unrest and turmoil. And man, we're living in some interesting times right now.
You're right.
And I point to that because just recently, Governor DeSantis signed a bill where basically he was saying that no one could enforce a mask mandate. Mm-hmm. And now our school systems are literally in the process of going against the governor's order, because as school gets ready to start, and Lady Drina shared with us earlier that one of the schools in Polk County actually was shut down due to COVID-19, and we're starting to see more and more rises in COVID-19. I think she also was telling us about one of the churches in Apopka. Mm-hmm. You just showed me an article, which we'll probably get into a little bit later, about some individuals who died of COVID-19.
You're right.
But as the concern of individuals who are not vaccinated and being ill affected by COVID-19, these schools or school boards are going against the governor's order, and they're saying that on the first day of school and beyond, that masks are going to be mandated unless the parents send a note to school with the kids saying that they're going to opt out, which is kind of the reverse order of what they're supposed to be doing things.
So, Greg, opting out provides parents with vouchers, right? That they can have their kids attend other school. What's
well, that opting out would initially allow them to go to school without having to wear the mask.
Okay.
But if the kids are ridiculed or bullied, because the funds that they're using for the vouchers comes from a bill where kids were being bullied and they could be moved to a different school. So if the kids are being ridiculed or, what do they call it now? COVID something. I forget the term they're using now. COVID shaming.
Okay.
And are victims of COVID shaming because they don't want to wear a mask, then yeah, they would then be able to apply for funds to go to a different school.
Mm. Well, and Craig, man, you just hit me to it, man. A Chinese curse when you talk about we're living in interesting times.
Yeah. And so, I mean, this is going to be interesting to see how Governor DeSantis responds to the various school boards pushing back. I mean, Seminole County, Orange County, various other ones across the state of Florida have indicated that they are going to require masks unless, again, the parents send a note saying, no, we don't want our children to wear them. And I've been hearing on, a lot of different platforms, parents saying, no, we don't want our kids to wear masks. But, last week when we talked about this, and one of the things that came up was there are a lot of folks who feel that individuals who've been vaccinated are being forced to wear the mask because of individuals who didn't want to get vaccinated, or people who, just for whatever reason are vax conspiracists and don't want to take the vaccines. But remember, there are a lot of kids in school who are unable to get the vaccine because of their age.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people out there who are unable to get vaccinated because of underlying health conditions. And so, and thinking about this, not just about the people who are just, I'm not getting the vaccine no matter what type of thing. There are people out there who legitimately could not get the vaccine who are now, may possibly be at risk. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that article with the 10 churchmen, what was that article?
That article, Greg, the Impact Church in Jacksonville, senior pastor Davis,
Mm-hmm.
he had 6 members of his church die of COVID.
Yeah.
Just recently.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that everybody was healthy. One of the common factors, though, of those 6 members that died was that nobody had been vaccinated.
Yeah. And so, this again goes to the point of what we've been talking about, for the past several months, when we are encouraging individuals to get the vaccine, not just for yourself, but for others around you. But it appears now, it appears that the vaccine, while it will not prevent individuals from getting COVID again, and that's one of the things they were saying, is that there's going to be some reoccurrence. That's just the natural way that viruses or things of this nature, how they work. It's not unusual for this to happen, for there to be someone who has a reoccurrence. But for the most part, the vaccines do a couple different things. Number one, it keeps them from getting as sick from if they did not have the vaccine, and it keeps them, for the most part, from being hospitalized, because it appears that 95% of the individuals who are contracting this Delta variant right now are not vaccinated.
Not vaccinated. Well, Greg, we have been having this conversation for the last, I think, Greg, 2 or 3 weeks.
At least.
And so, we talk about serious things on here, but we also bring to bear experts and resources so that, we can make sure that everybody has the tools and equipment that they need, the knowledge that they need to prepare themselves. But Greg, we're going to continue this conversation. And, we're at that point in the show that we're going to keep things on track, because we're going to get a little deeper into this. And Greg, this is that time of the show where we make introductions of somebody who's been riding with us for a very long time.
Absolutely. And so at this time, Brother Love, we are proud to present none other than the talented, the intelligent, the incomparable, the one and only Miss Nicole Knowles.
Dynamic duo, what's going on?
Hey, Miss Nicole, how you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you guys today?
Listen, and you've definitely been keeping Let's Talk Nation in the know with what's taking place with COVID-19. We appreciate you for that.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you guys, too, for having this very, very important conversation, especially now, because numbers are starting to go up tonight. And I do have another Nicole Knows focused on COVID, but it's a little bit different tonight. So for our listeners out there, you're concerned about the vaccine and just all the numbers going up. Well, this might give us some hope in making progress on fighting the COVID-19 virus. So with further ado, we'll jump into Nicole Knows tonight. The COVID-19 clinical trials are taking place, and this could give us a road to immunity with the virus going on. So Dr. Faisal A. Faqih and his team at Clinical Site Partners, LLC, are currently conducting a paid study to help reduce the number of severe COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. Dr. Faqih is a co-founder, president, and medical director for Clinical Site Partners. He is a highly respected and published board-certified physician investigator, conducting clinical research since 2003 in the Orlando area, right in our backyard. Extremely, extremely impressive background. Dr. Faqih has presented his work at major industry conferences such as ATS and for sponsors such as AstraZeneca, and a lot of viewers might be familiar with that name. It's featured in a lot of the commercials for medications. He has conducted hundreds of trials, served as a medical monitor on phase 1 through 4 trials, and his opinion is highly valued as an industry expert. Furthermore, he currently serves on several sponsor committee boards for protocol design and development. So very, very active in the community in his role. Clinical Site Partners was established according to needs and demands of clinical research site professionals across the nation, with the mission to produce quality data, health data. This includes a network of research sites who share centralized processes, training, contracts, and budgets. These sites are located in our very own backyard, Orlando, Winter Park area, Miami, and Leesburg, and specialize in respiratory research, which is very, very applicable to the COVID-19 virus, sleep medicine, gastroenterology, pediatrics, internal medicine, endocrinology, rheumatology, allergies, and CNS. Clinical Site Partners in the Orlando Park area is currently conducting a clinical research study. And for listeners out there, listen really closely on this one. For the treating the COVID coronavirus, eligible participants must be 18 years or older, have tested positive for COVID-19 within the last 48 to 72 hours, and be experiencing COVID-19 symptoms, so not being able to taste or smell, or just having some issues with breathing. Health insurance is not required to participate in this trial, and compensation will be available for time and trial. So some of those for time and travel, for some of those who are like, what's in it for me? How much is it going to cost? You will be compensated, and you'll contribute to a really good cause. For more information on the study and how to participate, I will defer tonight. I'll defer Nicole Knows tonight to our special guest speaker for tonight, and that's your Nicole Knows. As you hear from our special guest tonight, Let's Talk Nation challenges our listeners out there to consider the information that I shared on the COVID-19 cases from the past few weeks, as you guys were just talking about, and how this study might be able to help not only reduce the number of COVID-19 cases, but the number of people needing to be hospitalized, or who, it may even be fatal for some of our friends out there. So that's your Nicole Knows. Enjoy the show tonight. Thank you, guys.
Nicole, excellent job.
Yeah,
excellent job. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. And listen, Let's Talk Nation, you have heard it straight from the Secretary of State of Let's Talk Nation. And she is imploring you all to listen, to take heart and take heed to the information that we're going to be giving you all tonight. Brother Love, we always tell folks that we're here to increase your IQ by 10 to 15 points. But tonight we're here to increase your knowledge on how to remain safe. So,
Greg, you're absolutely right. And, Nicole did a fantastic job. One of the things, Greg, that you and I both are constantly out there trying to do is make sure that we bring experts, make sure we bring resources to the table. And in terms of bringing experts to the table, Dr. Faki had an emergency, but he was generous enough, man, to make sure that we were left in good hands. And what I like to do with the Let's Talk Nation is introduce and bring on the show Eduardo Mendez, who works for the Clinical Site Partners, and I'll let him tell the different sites that they have located. But how I got to meet these individuals, Greg, is that you and I, we've gotten our vaccines. Mm-hmm. We also go and make sure that we get tested too.
Yeah.
And so I had the pleasure to meet Eduardo. And Eduardo, how are you doing this evening? Welcome to Let's Talk Nation.
Thank you very much, Rod. How are you? All good so far.
We're doing great. Eduardo, I got my co-host Greg Jackson in the studio with me, and Greg and I, man, we appreciate you being here this evening, and we want you to just kind of educate our audience about one. Eduardo hit me to Greg. There's some pills out there. We want to understand what these pills or are they treatment? Mm-hmm. Or are they preventative? So, Eduardo, first tell people what you do with the Clinical Site Partners.
Of course. So right now we have been, working very hard since the pandemic started, and we're doing different trials for different vendors and some very huge brands out there, that of course are doing everything required to get different options for people out there. So the first thing was monoclonal antibodies, which is still going on. You're going to see more about it, in different type of indications.
Hey,
As
Waddle,
soon,
as Greg
yeah.
Jackson would say to you, break that down for us, brother.
Of course, no problem. So, the monoclonal antibodies basically are going to boost your immune system, and that's going to help out, to kind of prevent any spikes, or getting or worsening, and that's what is being studied. So there is a lot of data being collected, and we will have final results, and it's going to be presented, of course, to different boards and different institutions from the government side, so they can go ahead and give a green light. And there have been some medications already, FDA approved for critical cases, and they're in the works, to get it out there to make it massively available. Now, you touched something very important, that it was the pills. So right now we're providing a treatment, and we're just about to be enabled, hopefully this or next week. Um, but it is for people that are COVID positive, and there's going to be different tiers or arms, how we call it. So it's going to be people with conditions, meaning like hypertension, like me, for example, I have hypertension. So, and or not without conditions, so it's going to be available at no cost for the person to participate. It has to comply with certain requirements, such as, probably a window of 5 days from the time that they were tested, and whatnot. But the most important thing is that, we're working around the clock to get, things done. So more options are available out there.
Absolutely. Now, when you talk about the pills, are those going to be a replacement for the vaccinations or in conjunction with the vaccinations?
Well, these are retrovirals. As of this moment, it's being studied, by itself. They have not mentioned yet, if it's going to be in combination, but is definitely a treatment. The vaccine pretty much is a preventative method to see if they can, lower down the amount of spreads for COVID. But the treatment, it's, for people that are positive. So definitely, it's going to be interesting to see how is a less invasive, because there were like some time that we had, some type of treatments that they were, infusion through the vein.
Hmm.
So, kind of more complicated, takes a little bit more time. However, definitely a great option. Um, but yeah, so it's everything has been, collected, and it's on the works.
Eduardo, let me ask this question. How would individuals be able to qualify
Yeah.
to be eligible to, participate in this study? Is it directly through the clinical site partners?
Yeah. So our website has a landing page, for different conditions. They just got to click on COVID, and they'll pick up, they'll enter their information there. That's going to generate a lead, and one of our specialized team, members from recruitment is going to reach out to them.
What is that website? Could you?
It's clinicalsitepartners.com.
Okay, we'll have that up on the air
Yeah,
shortly.
they made that easy for us.
Yeah,
They
very
made it
easy,
easy for us.
very easy.
Now, the
Yeah.
other thing also that we heard just from our Nicole Knows segment was that this is a paid study. Is that correct?
So there is always stipend. We take in consideration that people are not so close to us, and there is a compensation for time and travel. So what they do is usually, for example, if you're getting the treatment, compensation ranges between 900-ish, for time and travel, and that's like for the expenses to get there to the site, pretty
And
much.
how long is someone expected to be a part of the study? Is it something where it's a 1 day thing? Is it a week thing? How long are they expected to participate?
So it is up to 9 visits,
Okay.
the one that we're running right now, and it is 5 visits are like every other day, and then after that, there's going to be a monthly checkup until it's 9. Hmm.
Okay, Waddle, let me ask you this, and this is an opportunity for you to also do some marketing for the clinical site partners. How many sites do you have located in Central Florida?
Yeah, so we do have one site in Winter Park. We have another one in Leesburg, and we have the one down in South Miami, Kendall. Hmm. So they're the main focus right now has been COVID, mainly in Winter Park location. As you saw, we have a booth out there. There's no cost for getting tested, and it is very easy to go in, go out, and it is available within business hours. So yeah, definitely anybody can go there. Mhm.
Eduardo, let me ask this question, and I mean this is one of the questions, and you may or may not be able to answer this, but this is one of the questions that Greg and I got. I think it was last week or the week before that. Uh, People are asking the question. Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, they're being used underneath an emergency
Right.
use that was approved by the CDC. Why hasn't these treatments or these vaccines been approved by the FDA yet?
Okay. So, it takes a process. I'm pretty sure that, as long as data is collected, we have been running, for example, we're using Moderna vaccine for one of the trials that we have, the studies, and we give you the CDC card, once you participate. But I mean, so far, everything has been exposed and it's has been transparent. Obviously, they're not going to hold off on, you know, providing the vaccines to everyone and making it available, but they do provide on the spot, if they have any observations. I know that one of the brands, they had to, go back and just destroy a lot, and they did a recall on it. So it's all the government entities are like on top of like the real time feedback, and we also provide feedback about what is going on when they get certain vaccines and what are the feedback involved. Mhm.
Eduardo, I know you guys actually, perform the testing aspect. What about vaccinations?
So the vaccination right now, it's going on, for example, at our site with Moderna vaccine, along with the monoclonal antibodies, which we spoke a little bit before. It is intended to see if this will cause, mild symptoms, or if it's going to be, no symptoms whatsoever, or what is it? We need feedback and we need transparency. And that's why we reach out, to the people and like, you want to participate. Okay, there is an intended benefit. However, we need transparency in regards of the feedback, right? So monoclonal antibodies have been really good. For the most part, when we would had the previous studies for people that were positive. So to the point that it has been used in critical cases at the hospitals. So
Mhm.
now they want to use it along with the vaccines to see how that works.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Eduardo, what would you say? And we appreciate once again you being here. But what would you say to our listening audience that are hesitant
Mm.
in getting vaccinated? What last words would you leave them with?
Sure. So it has been many conversations around this, and a lot of people with conditions they push back, in regards of getting the vaccine because of a potential development of symptoms for COVID. Because most of the people that get the shot, they usually tend to inform, oh, I felt this way, that way, and they just scared, and that makes a lot of sense. But not being vaccinated not only puts yourself at risk, it puts others at risk as well.
Mhm.
So we need to decrease the amount of people infected. We need to help out others to stay safe. So just be considered, and also look for these options. I mean, research is out there providing you with no cost for, medical attention. The medication is at no cost. You don't even need insurance, and you actually get, a compensation for time of travel. And just to mention, because we didn't discuss this, for the one that is for the vaccine is 2,250. You get to participate on that one to get the Moderna vaccine plus the monoclonal antibodies. So
So, if a person is interested in participating in this paid study, what they would need to do is go to Clinical Site Partners, Google the website, and there's information on the website that they can go through that process.
that is correct.
Eduardo, man, we sincerely appreciate you, man. Please give our best to Dr. Fakih. And last but not least, how often is your site in Winter Park conducting COVID testing?
So it's Monday to Friday, and it's 8 to 5.
Oh,
So
Monday through Friday.
anytime, yeah, they just can go into curative.com because we're working with a third party company, and you get scheduled and you get the results by email or text.
Okay. So they can still, once again, go through the Clinical Site Partners website and they can navigate through that process to register through your third-party administrator to schedule a time to get tested.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Eduardo, thank you. And I know I have to extend a hearty thank you from the Let's Talk Nation, man. We appreciate you. You're always welcome back on this show, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
You have
Thank
a good
you.
one.
Hey, you take
so
care.
very much.
All righty.
All right.
Take care.
Likewise.
Listen, brother Armando, the Secretary of the Interior, he was on top of it as well. And it looks as if there's going to be a move to approve the Pfizer vaccine by early next month. So hopefully early September, the FDA is going to be approving that Pfizer vaccine.
Great. We got researchers around here. We got folk that reach out. They don't wait for us to ask them to do anything.
Hey, listen, they just get to work. They
yeah,
just get to
but
work.
man, hey, Eduardo, man, with the Clinical Site Partners, we appreciate him and I realized Dr. Fakih couldn't make it, but Greg, that was some good information.
Yeah.
They have the two studies, one that they're paying $900 and the other one
$2,500. I thought I heard 25. You heard 22 or 25?
22. But hey, Greg, paid studies.
Yeah, and so listen, if you want to be a part of those studies and be considered for those studies, it's www.clinicalpartners.com.
Clinical Site Partners.
Clinicalsitepartners.com. Reach out to them, and this is, us doing our part by allowing them to get the information, the data that they need to make sure that we in the future have treatments for COVID-19 and other things that may come our way.
Well, you're absolutely right. Hey, Greg, we're talking about how iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
And we're talking about raising IQs and things of nature. But Doc Polite and I, having one of those long conversations. And last week, you and I, we talked a little bit about vaccine hesitancy and how, particularly with Black folk, first thing we bring up and talk about, man, is the Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah.
And Doc Polite, man, he hit me with the research, brother.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just go ahead and read the headline, man. We learned the wrong lessons from the Tuskegee experiment. It's understandable that Black Americans are weary about vaccines, but that's a despicable episode, Greg, when we talk about the withholding of treatment. Doc Polite broke this thing down. It wasn't that individuals was injected with anything. It was the fact that individuals weren't treated.
Yeah.
Had syphilis, was diagnosed to have this, and treatment was withheld.
Right.
And that's, Greg, that is why, folk had become distrusting because folk knew what they had and they had drugs to treat them.
Yeah. They basically allowed the disease to run its course so that they would know from beginning to end how it affected the human body. And these are things that you use, mice and guinea pigs and things like that for. But these individuals were used as human guinea pigs in this regard. But it was used, in a despicable sort of way. It was used for the better good because after that there were treatments that came about. There were better ways to identify that disease. But unfortunately, they did it using human beings, which is ridiculous. So.
Well, Greg, last week we had a couple of individuals that called into the show, and I think it was very productive, man, because the audience got to hear both sides.
Yeah.
And we want to extend that same courtesy to our listening audience once again. The phone number to call in, let us know what your thoughts are. We want those encouraging words, but we also had Brother Dexter that called in last week from what, North Carolina?
He said North Carolina. He said it was in a field in North Carolina.
Yeah. And we just can't be of the mindset that everybody's going to row in the same direction.
Yeah.
What Brother Dexter brought to the table was an interesting conversation so that we can make our argument to convince him to go get vaccinated.
But listen, but Brother Love was saying, if you want to be a part of this conversation, 407-894-1680. Once again, 407-894-1680 to be a part of the program, to give us a call. But Brother Love, let's shift gears real quickly. There's a video that is surfaced, and we talk about law enforcement and how law enforcement place themselves in harm's way to help others. But there's a video, and I think Doc Polite has
break this thing down first, Greg. You just can't run into it. Break this thing down, because you and I, we had a conversation, and some people don't like the video. Some people don't like it, but
I think let them see the video and then let us break it down from that.
Okay.
Because we want them to Let's let them see the gory details, and then let's talk it through.
All right.
Doc
All right.
Polite, you got that thing queued up, man?
That fentanyl, you can't breathe.
It was in an instant. It's as though my lungs just locked up. I couldn't breathe. I was trying to gasp for breath, but I couldn't breathe at all.
Bye-bye, you okay? Talk to me.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Don't be sorry. You're okay. Don't be sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about. I got you, okay? I'm not gonna let you die. I'm not gonna let you die. I need Narcan! I got you. I'm trying to not let him go. I wanted him to know he wasn't alone.
Greg, this is the other side that I don't think the general public gets to see when law enforcement is out in the field. Greg, what we're talking about is a drug called fentanyl.
Yeah.
And this officer didn't even touch it.
Just came into contact with it. And it appears, was it during the stop or something like that?
It was doing a traffic stop.
During a traffic stop, and law enforcement officers have enough to worry about, someone pulling a gun on them, someone trying to run over them with a car. But in this particular case, a drug that we haven't talked enough about, fentanyl, and you hear it on the news, but people are like, well, what's the big deal about fentanyl? This police officer did not even touch this drug. He merely came into contact with this drug through air or breathing it through, and this is what happened to him. He nearly died as a result of just coming into contact and not even full contact with fentanyl. So think about what's on the streets right now, for kids, for even adults. I mean, brother, you and I could have been walking down the street, and as silly as it may sound, someone could have been riding down the street with their windows down with fentanyl, and this same thing could have happened to us.
Greg, do you realize that law enforcement officer, having not touched the drug, he was actually overdosing.
Yeah.
Overdosing. Yeah. And I tell you, gotta give credit to his partner, because the moment his partner said to him, hey, you're too close. And then you saw him back up, and
it's too late.
It was too late.
Almost too late, because he made it.
You're right. But Greg, his partner knew exactly what to do. I mean, you see him taking the vest off so that it wouldn't continue to constrict his breathing. You saw he, immediately contacted first responders to get on the site. But Greg, these are the kind of things, man, that law enforcement goes into on a regular basis, Greg, unbeknownst to them.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Brother Love, it seems as if we have a caller on the line who wants to have a conversation with us. Caller, you're on live with Brother Love and Greg Jackson. Let's talk about it. How you doing this evening?
I'm good, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. And this is Miss K?
Yes.
All right. So what's on your mind this evening, Miss K?
What's on my mind is I would like to hear more of a balance. Right now, to me, everything is one-sided. I'm not hearing people talk about risk, weighing the risk and the benefits of taking the vaccine versus not taking it. What your immune system is like, how you can strengthen your immune system. I just would like to hear more professional people in the medical field talk about weighing the risk and the benefits, because I have 2 family members, all fully vaccinated, all developed horrible problems after receiving the vaccine. Another person today that I know passed away. And these are all people in the Black community who were encouraged to take the vaccine, but they weren't really fully aware of the risk. So there are risks and there are benefits, and people need to know how to weigh them based on their situation.
Ms. K, that is an outstanding point, and we really appreciate you for having the courage to call and share this information with us. And from Brother Love and I and the entire Let's Talk Nation, we're very sorry for your loss. We're very sorry for the individuals who are having complications associated with this. But yeah, you're right. There are complications associated with the vaccine. We saw even from the early onset that there were about 7 or 8 people who passed away from taking the drug, but there are millions of people who have been vaccinated. And so, it's easy to say it's a 1 in a million chance that these things will happen until it's that one in that million that's in your home and that you're having to deal with. So, there's no real clear answer. And of course, we will invite experts to be on the show. We've had some on several times, nurses, doctors. We just had a healthcare professional on again. And we think that we will make it a point to have someone to come on to talk about those risks, because you got to weigh them. What are your pre-existing conditions? Diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. All of the other things that we have to take into account. And is it worth getting this vaccine? To in light of those things. So that is an outstanding point.
Ms. K,
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, because it is affecting more people
Mm-hmm.
than are being discussed
Yeah. Yeah.
in the media.
Ms. K, let me also go ahead and chime in. Greg, we have an individual who was asking, and I think they asked this question a couple of weeks ago. What was our opinion about individuals being compensated for these tests or to get vaccinated? And one of the things that, I'll say, because they're basically identifying the fact that, the vaccinations are free.
Mm-hmm.
But these individuals that are going through these studies, going back to something that Ms. K brought up, is the fact that these studies are intended to focus on what are some of the side effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the things that could be adverse as well as the positive effects of it. And so, my opinion about individuals, just as Eduardo was on the show moments ago, we are going to have to continue to look at what the findings are from these studies. And then I think one of the other things, Greg, and by far we're not experts in this area, but we're still asking the question, why hasn't the FDA approved this? And I think one of the responses is that there's more data that needs to be gathered on this, so that there's not a swift or quick movement to standardize the vaccinations. But we do know, Greg, that based on the data that has been presented to us, that it's more of a help at this juncture in time.
Yeah, Ms. K, what are your last thoughts?
My last thoughts are, there's just so many.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
there are so many people that may benefit, and there are so many people that actually may be harmed that could survive COVID, but didn't because of the complications they had with the vaccine and caught COVID anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's horrible.
Yeah.
That you don't have, that we're getting to the point now that you don't have a choice. You almost don't have a choice anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And that's the part that I don't like, is we're almost to the point where they want to mandate this. The president wants to force you to have it. And God never forced anything on us.
Wow. Well, listen again, Ms. K, we want to say we appreciate you, and thank you for being out there and listening to us, and, continue to get the word out, continue to challenge us to do just what you did. Hey, can we get more professionals to talk about the risks associated with these things and things of that nature? So we want to say we appreciate you and thank you for being out there, Ms. K.
I mean, if you need a few names or references, I can get you a couple.
I tell you what, hold the line, and Brother Armando will get those names from you, and we will do our darndest to make sure that we get those folks on to talk to us. Okay.
Okay.
Armando,
right,
get Miss K's number as well.
Yeah.
We'd like to follow up with her. Thank you, Miss K.
But Brother Love, that is an outstanding point. And Brother Dexter, he talked about it last week, and there are a lot of folks out there who are apprehensive about getting a vaccination. There are a lot of folks who can't get it because of underlying health conditions. But it just seems as if, day after day, we're being told you have to get it. You have to get the vaccination. And I mean, it was to the point to where there was going to be, they were saying that people were going to go door to door to check on people to see if they were vaccinated. I mean, it was almost like intimidation and things of that nature. And this is not me saying it. These are the individuals that were getting the calls, that people were coming to their door asking them about their personal health information. But there are individuals who can't get this vaccination.
You're right, Greg. But, let's also bring up, and Brother Dexter's the one who called the show when he identified some information regarding what the law says.
Yeah.
And was it Huey that called in?
Yeah,
and,
Brother
and,
Hugh, yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, Greg, and I think it was a Senate bill that he cited to us that.
Well, no, that was a couple of weeks ago. That wasn't
Yeah.
Brother Hugh. Brother Hugh was talking about from a healthcare profession standpoint, seeing people in the hospitals and people on ventilators and things like that. It was another gentleman a couple of weeks before.
Okay.
That gave us the Senate Bill number 1936 or something like that of the language where if someone, almost like Baker Act, if you're a danger to yourself or others and you're refusing to get the vaccination, they can force you to get the vaccination.
And so, I mean, this is a definite interesting conversation, Greg, that we need to continue to have this conversation.
No, absolutely. And we will welcome those opportunities to do so, to educate our audience and to, make sure that folks are making the right decisions. Just like when we do during election time, we want to make sure that people are educated and making, good decisions, just like now. We want you to know about that's why we were kind of on the front lines. I don't know if people remember, but last year this time we had
Dr. Mansfield.
Yeah, Dr. Mansfield on talking to us about COVID-19, washing your hands, and we're gonna continue to be on the forefront of this battle, no matter what.
And having more conversation. And Greg, I want to recognize too Bobby Scott Sr. because he's asking some of those questions people are asking.
Yeah,
about compensation.
But this what I was going to circle back to that. This is what I say about compensation. I mean, they have compensation for sleep studies. They have compensation for HIV studies. They're just compensating people because it takes a lot to leave your house to go and have someone to observe you and to look at you and things like that. And if that's the way to get people in to get the information necessary to build better databases, then I don't have an issue with it.
And that Watto mentioned, I think, did he mention that, you got 5 visits within, the first few weeks and stuff? I mean, so that is a burden on individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Brother Love, let's continue to stick and move. We got a lot of information that we want to get out to folks. One of which, I don't know if people were watching the Olympics, but the Olympics concluded on last night. As a matter of fact, they had the closing ceremonies in Japan, and the 2024 Olympics is going to be in Paris, France. Now, why is Greg Jackson mentioning the 2024 Olympics in Paris, France? Because my wife and I have made the decision that we're going to be at the 2024
Y'all going to
Paris Olympics. That's the only reason why I mentioned it, because I just want to rub it in. Everybody out there, Let's Talk Nation, I'm going to be in Paris with my wife in 2024.
So you done tap this up, man.
Yeah,
you get some brownie points and get to go to the Olympics.
That's right. But, the U.S., on the last day of competition, we were trailing behind China in the gold medal count. Now, we were leading in the overall medal count, but nations are judged by the number of gold medals that they get, not second place, third place finishes, which are good. Don't get me wrong, because I can't do it. But they're judged by the number of gold medals that they get. And I'm going to tell you, I was watching, and I was getting nervous. And I was like, please let the U.S. get at least one gold medal more than than China. And lo and behold, on the last day, we got 39 gold medals to China's 38 gold medals. We have a total of 113 medals overall, and China got 88 medals overall. But the U.S., hats off to the swim team. They got 11 total gold medals. One gentleman, Dressel, got 5 gold medals on his own. Our ladies, 4x400 team, gold, with Allison Felix, who is now the most decorated Olympic athlete or track and field athlete, above Carl Lewis. She actually got a bronze in the 400, and she tied Carl Lewis, having 10 medals in the Olympics. And then they won the 4x4, got a gold. So then she surpassed the great Carl Lewis. We also have to give our hats off to Joe Kovacs, who was the only male American to win a gold in track and field in the shot put.
But Greg, I can't let you go past one. I'm gonna park Carl Lewis for 1 second.
Yeah.
But Greg, this Olympics, man, was, and I say it's almost akin to LeBron's last year NBA championship in the bubble.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you didn't have the fans there cheering you on. It was a different atmosphere, different environment. The one volleyball on the American team that chose not to get vaccinated, and they actually showed him being showered, of course, with his clothes on. Hey, outside with somebody holding a fire hose. Up in the air. I mean, so it was very unusual. But then, kind of going back, Greg, when you talk about the American 4x4 relay team, did you see how Carl Lewis?
Now that was a 4x1, not the 4x4.
Yeah.
Because the men's 4x4 team, that's the only reason a men's gold medal in track is possible. So we didn't have any gold medal men individual track medals, but we did have the one.
Carl Lewis lit the team on fire.
Well, he should have. Did you see that race?
Yeah, I saw the race, but
wait, before we get to that, I told you Japan was going to show out.
You did. And
and China came. I knew China was going to have a team, but I didn't think they were going to show out like that. But I told you, Japan has a track and field
Greg,
team.
what was the guy from Japan? No, China that ran the 100
I forget his name, but he's legit.
Man, yes.
But this is the thing. The U.S. has been so dominant in track and field for so many years that these other nations literally spend millions of dollars per athlete to ensure that when they come to the biggest stage in the whole wide world to show your dominance and your pride in your country through physical activity, they spend millions of dollars to make sure that their athletes are coming and they are ready to compete.
What kind of investment does America make?
Not enough. I mean, you still have people that have to work at, I think Home Depot was one where I saw people working. You have people who are having to be delivery drivers for FedEx because the U.S. is not supporting them in the way that they should. But these athletes still, they come out and they compete. You had 2 gold medals in the skeet shooting and the trap shooting. You had our first gold medal in women's taekwondo, our first gold medal in women's individual foil. So, I mean, these athletes, they spend their own money to get to these competitions against athletes whose countries are literally investing in their success.
So, and so, Greg, I know, or I've heard that we potentially could have, what is it, MMA or UF? What is it, Greg?
You got UFC, you got Bellator.
Greg, now that's not going to be a joke now if they bring that to the Olympics.
Listen, I fully expect the U.S. to dominate in MMA. I fully expect that. Just like, I take that back because boxing, we always end up kind of short in boxing, but, that's because these guys, they bring athletes who have been boxing, probably 300 amateur meets who can go professional tomorrow if they wanted to. And we got these young guys that are coming up that are hungry, that are fighting. But I fully expect, just like did you see the golf? We won gold in golf.
I didn't see that.
Men and women.
Okay.
So yeah, listen.
But Greg, give me this, man. Tell me what's your thoughts, man, of and I guess it's the world that we live in right now, but having these major events in a bubble.
Listen, I mean, I think that it had to be done because remember, last year was supposed to be the Olympics. And
but does it take away anything?
Of course. I mean, you don't have the crowd that's there to, to rile you up. You don't have your families there. There were a lot of people who had to celebrate with their families on the screen, on television. They didn't have that moral support that was right there. So, I mean, it affects them. But these athletes are trained and conditioned, with the exception of a few, are trained and conditioned to isolate themselves to perform to the best of their ability. So it's not unusual for them to do these things.
Well, Greg, America, United States excelled by 1 gold medal. And you know what? I'm going to take that and run with it.
Listen, I'm going to take it all day and run with it. I'm going to take it all day
and run with it.
But here's the thing, too, though. There's some people who are saying that the reason why the U.S. is less dominant in some of these sports is because we're getting too caught up in this woke culture. And as a matter of fact, they're, your best friend, President Trump.
Man, all right. See, you love doing that, but go ahead. Proceed, my friend.
Your best friend.
Proceed.
What he said that the women's soccer team, if they weren't so focused on wanting to kneel during the national anthem and wanted to make social statements on this great stage, and as opposed to a bronze medal, they probably would have won a gold medal. These athletes, they have a right to voice their opinions and do different things, but China doesn't do it. Italy doesn't do it. I mean, no other nation has the freedom to do the things that the U.S. has, but yet and still, these athletes want to come and say how deplorable this country is and how unfair this country is. I sent you all an article with the Chinese weightlifter and the state media. So you don't read your text. See, I'm disappointed, you brother. But the state media asked this Chinese weightlifter, Do you plan on living a life as a woman?
I saw that.
You plan on
Yeah.
getting a boyfriend? Just think about if someone in the media in the U.S. said that. This is what U.S. athletes fail to realize, is that if you go anywhere else and you try to do what they do, I mean, there was one athlete who defected during the Olympics. How many athletes? Let me ask you this question.
She defected, and her husband actually had to meet her in another country. Yeah.
How many athletes from the U.S. are rushing to defect to other countries? Think about that. If this is such a horrible country, why is it that people are wanting to defect to the United States of America? Because they realize that we have freedoms that no other country has. The only people that don't realize the freedoms that we have in this country are the people that live here.
Greg, I have not seen anybody as of yet. Oh, wait, hold up. The guy who, Snowden? Was it Snowden?
He ain't no athlete.
Oh, no athlete. You're right.
And plus, he was trying to get away
from prosecution
for treason.
But Greg, you're right. You're right. Nobody's trying to defect from the United States.
Yeah.
I like that little body blow you hit me with Trump, but I'm gonna get you back. I'll get you back for that one. You know, you like to slide in those body blows, but Greg, man, you're absolutely right. But Greg, here's the other thing, man. I'd say to you, I see individuals sliding in the negativity, and I will also say this, man. The young lady who lost her mother, man, our hearts go out.
Raven
to
Saunders,
her. Yeah, and a week later, Nike deal. 2 weeks later.
You're talking about Sha'Carri Richardson?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And so our hearts go out to her. But Greg, when I looked at Charles Woodson the other day accepting that award, the thing that crossed my mind is, man, how many major endorsements? Because this guy, Greg, was nothing but a first-class act in the NFL.
Yeah.
But if you look at a Charles Barkley, I'm gonna just use him for example. When he came out and said, "Hey, I ain't no," and I understand where he was going, but he said, "I'm no role model."
Yeah.
Got another endorsement.
Yep. You sure did.
So I don't know, Greg.
But this is the thing, and I don't know if you noticed, but I purposefully did not mention. Well, and Sha'Carri Richardson doesn't even fit in that because she didn't protest anything. She just made a stupid decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I purposely did not mention Gwen Berry, and I purposely did not mention Raven Saunders, after she won the silver medal in the shot put, she did her display or whatever. Her mom passed away here in Orlando, Florida.
Oh.
They were having a watch party. And so I was somewhat critical of her, but I took a step back and I said, you know what, listen, our heartfelt condolences go out to her and her family. But the reason why I purposefully did not mention those individuals because they, for the most part, were the only two. Gabby Thompson, Ating Mo, Raven Rogers, Allison Felix, Rob Benjamin, Michael Norman, Noel Lyles, Burdick. You can go down the list of athletes who are African-American who are at these Olympics, and they performed admirably.
Yeah.
And they did not use this stage for some social statement. They used it to highlight their pride and their talent for the United States of America, as every other country there did. And so, listen, they have a right to say and do whatever they want to. I don't agree with it. But at the end of the day, there were individuals who were there competing as African-Americans. I mean, Simone Biles, Simone Manuel, and another African-American female, which I did not realize were actually on the women's 4x200 swim relay that got a gold. We're not highlighting these African-American athletes enough who go and they are proud of their country and what this country stands for, because they understand if they went anywhere else and tried to do the things that are done here in this country, just like in Cuba where people were disappearing.
Yeah.
Which, I hope everything is working out there. People disappear.
But Greg, and you're right. But we did see these athletes, and we saw, as much as the media allowed us to see, these athletes that were holding the American flag and they were saying point blank, "I am proud to be an American."
Absolutely. Look, think about the black female to ever win a gold medal as a wrestler. Mansa Stokes, I forget her name. She said, "I love this country." I mean, there's so many individuals who look like us, who sound like us, who come from similar backgrounds as you and I specifically, who have a deep appreciation for what they were able to do and accomplish in this country.
Well, we do know.
And we shouldn't be shamed for that.
You're right. You're right.
We shouldn't be shamed for that.
Well, we know between the two of us who was in front of the TV during the Olympics the whole time.
No, listen, it's YouTube. Listen, I went to YouTube. YouTube is like my number one source. So I would go to YouTube and watch everything on YouTube, man.
Hey, so we'll go to your daddy when we want to bring him on for any sports show. And now for the 2021 Olympics, Greg, we're going to give you a show to recap all by yourself.
Hey, just make sure you bring the theme music for that.
Bring the theme music.
Yeah.
But Greg, I mean, we have it. Greg, before we sign off, we have about 4 minutes. We need to bring that one video of Sheriff Greg Judd.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Doc Polite.
Y'all have anything to say?
Yes, sir, Sheriff. I have something to say.
Hey, you can run, but you can't hide. You can keep dodging and ducking, but you can't fly. You can't lie. Old Grady get his man every time. He gon' get his own family if they try to cross the line. That's why you trying to hide. Cause you know that we gon' get you. It's obvious a crime done been committed. So we on the mission. And we ain't gon' stop until we get you. You think you ducking Grady? Boy, you ignorant. Stop. Get your sap-sucking hands up. And when I catch you, I'm gon' slap you in these handcuffs. Man up. Stop running. Pull them pants up. Ooh, when I catch you, I'ma show you what we stand for.
Greg, we had a number of folk that were saying, hey, man, what do you think of this? And Greg, when we talk about mediums to get the message across, when we talk about connecting and communicating, Greg, the bottom line on this video is they're straight up telling you.
Listen, they said it. Grady Judd ain't playing.
He's not playing.
But listen, this is not unusual for Sheriff. If you go to YouTube, listen, I'm telling you, YouTube is where you should go. Every Monday or Thursday or something, Grady Judd has a press conference where he talks about the people that he has caught doing a crime in his city or in his county, and he says, we're not going to stand for this.
Greg, you don't get any more direct.
Level.
You don't get any more direct than that.
Listen, and they're telling the truth.
Man, absolutely. But
do you remember? And I think I told you this back in 2012. I want to say this, and I was in Atlanta, Georgia. There was someone that shot a sheriff's deputy in Polk County, and they found the tree. They found the.
I was there.
Tree,
and he shot. I can't think of the officer's name. I worked in Lakeland at the time, but the officer's name was.
Was that 2012?
Name was DOG.
Was it 2012?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when Grady Judd, when they caught the guy and they disposed of him, and I'm just saying it in a nice way, Doc Polite, what did he say the reason why they stopped shooting?
Because they ran out of bullets. And if they had some more bullets, they'd have shot him some more.
Grady Judd, that's Grady Judd.
But Greg, the message, I mean, we talk about a myriad of issues, Greg, but the message is, you can't get any clearer than this. If you are doing wrong, we coming to get you.
And listen, and sometimes, Doc Polite disappeared on us. Sometimes, and we've heard this before, you got to meet people where they at. You understand what I'm saying? We got to meet them where they at.
Yeah.
And so, Grady Judd went and got some trap dudes or whatever you call them, know what they call the music now, but he went and got them and said, listen, y'all need to send this message. We ain't playing.
Greg, that message is received loud and clear. It don't get no clearer than that.
Listen, when y'all sent it to me, I said, that's an instant classic right there. I don't care what you say.
You're right. You're right.
So, but yeah, listen, some people are going to be offended. They're going to think that, he's playing on, the black folks by using this rap and stuff like that. But what's different from when Al Gore goes into the black church and says, they're going to keep y'all in chains, and Hillary Clinton goes and uses the black voice when she's talking. I mean, listen.
Greg, you got two young cats, Greg.
Got to meet them where they at.
Hey, and they're communicating directly.
Listen, I got the message. I know exactly what he's saying.
Hey, well, you know what, man? We talked about a number of things, and we're ending on, just public safety.
Well, yeah, that and, Brother Love, New York, we got to talk about Cuomo next week.
Oh, you're absolutely correct.
We got to talk about Cuomo next week.
Right. You're right.
Cuomo has been alleged to have committed 11 acts of sexual harassment. One of his top aides resigned last night. Another chief consultant resigned just today. The New York legislature is contemplating
impeachment, right?
But just like we were talking about, like the mayor from Virginia and the
lieutenant governor
who was accused of sexual assault, nothing happened to him. I predict that Cuomo is going to sit there in that office and Democrats are going to do zero.
Well, I tell you what, my friend, this will be the discussion for next week. Hey, Greg Jackson, you do not have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Until next week on Let's Talk Nation.
Y'all have anything to say?
Yes, sir, Sheriff. I have something to say.
I wanna ride. run, but you can't hide. You can keep dodging and ducking, but you can't fly. You can't lie. Old Grady get his man every time. He gon' get his own family if they try to cross the line. That's why you trying to hide. Cause you know that we gon' get you. It's obvious a crime done been committed. So we on the mission. And we ain't gon' stop until we get you. You think you ducking Grady? Boy, you ignorant. Stop. Get your sack sucking hands up. And when I catch you, I'm gon' slap you in these handcuffs. Man up. Stop running. Pull them pants up. Ooh, when I catch you, I'm